Tim's lecture. Just bullet points. It's so long. That's Tim. Tim wants to show.
Here, does it show? No. There is one. The people in the back of this very bad. The way I had it, the focus is
It's all good. That's how I like it.
انا هطلع عيني
ايه
Good evening, everybody. Before we start our proceedings, I would like to remind all our guests to remain seated throughout today's procession. We have two doors on the sides for fire exit, and One other point that we have here our professional photographers, so there is no need for any of the guests to leave their seats and take photographs. Now for the staff's procession, it may proceed right now. On behalf of the Royal College of Surgeons, Medical University of Bahrain, I welcome you all today for our ceremony of white coat wearing. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Joe McMenamin, the Vice President of for Academic Affairs and the Head of the School of Medicine, RCSI Bahrain, to give the School of Medicine's address.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Samir Otoom, Your Excellency, Professor Arnie Hill, Head of School of Medicine, RCSI Dublin, distinguished guests, faculty, students, and in particular, parents. Congratulations to you all on reaching this important milestone in your undergraduate career in medicine. You indeed all look very elegant in your white coats. The white coat, of course, signifies that you're now moving into the hospital arena, where you will from now on receive most of your teaching and training. I wish to take this opportunity to particularly congratulate your parents. Indeed, I would now ask the academic staff to join me in showing their appreciation of what you and your parents have achieved. Thank you. Students, your university's mission is to inspire, educate, and train competent and caring graduates to international standards, prepared for long life learning and to become future healthcare leaders. RCSI Bahrain's core values are respect, collaboration, scholarship, and innovation. Indeed, the future lies with those who innovate. Sadly, I have to report that I will be leaving RCSI Bahrain in June. Did I hear an ah? No. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege of teaching many medical students, interns, and postgraduate students. It has always been very pleasing to have one of my former students come up to me and say, I remember you taught me this or you taught me that, Professor Joe. Just last year, I happened to get an acute event in my left eye and I had to be admitted to hospital. And I was just about to go into the operating room when the ophthalmic surgeon who was going to operate on me came in and he said, I think I know you. And I said, maybe. He said, you taught me when I rotated through pediatrics. And I said, oh, okay. So he then said, yes, he said, I remember you taught me how to examine the eye in a child. So I said, I hope you're going to do a good job now on me. So I was wondering what message I should give you today at your white coat ceremony, in the hope that maybe just some of you might remember. Of the 4 RCSI Bahrain core virtues or core values, respect is the value that I would like you to take away today. Respect your teachers and employers. Respect your colleagues and team members. Respect yourself, but most of all, respect your patients. Indeed, respect is what patients most look for in a doctor. So this is my message as the outgoing head of school. It's just one word, but it has great professional mileage. It's respect. Thank you.
May I call now on our guest speaker for the evening, my colleague, Dr. Naji Alamuddin, is a senior clinical lecturer in medicine, RCSI Bahrain. Dr. Alamuddin.
President Atum, Professor Hill, Professor McManaman, Excellencies, academic colleagues, distinguished guests, parents and family members, medical students, it is with great honor that I get to welcome you to the white coat ceremony. My name is Naji Alamuddin. I am an endocrinologist and I have the pleasure of serving as a senior lecturer at RCSI, as well as being a graduate of this prestigious medical school. I am honored to have the opportunity to speak to you today and to be here at my alma mater for this distinguished ceremony. Parents and family members, I imagine you must be incredibly proud, and so should you be. Today represents the culmination of all your hard work and your children's hard work and dedication. As someone who was in this position not so long ago, okay, maybe a bit longer than I'd like to admit, it is not lost on those who have reached this point the sacrifices and dedications on the part of the families to make this a reality. Your efforts are valued and appreciated. Please take a moment to reflect back on the role you played in the journey and the gratitude we feel towards you all for being the solid foundation which allowed them to build their education. A sincere thank you to you all. Medical students, the white coat ceremony is one of the most exciting and momentous days in your path towards becoming a physician. Today marks the official beginning of your medical careers. It's a day to remember like no other, and a memory you'll cherish for the rest of your lives. This truly is a very special occasion, day in your career. Now that you have your white coats on, I want you to stop and think about this moment. In life, there are too many fleeting moments like this that come and go quickly, and we ignore them. Don't overlook this one. Your white coats are a way to share the traditions of medicine. It's the symbol of a doctor, a person who teaches, helps, and has the privilege of treating and serving patients. Let me tell you a bit about white coats. Today, it's the first thing that we imagine when we visualize the image of a doctor. But not too long ago, there was a time when doctors' coats were much darker and more formal. You can see in old photos where doctors looked more like businessmen or bankers. These darker coats were very haphazard and represented a far less institutional and regulated profession. When medicine and hospitals began to make scientific progress and prioritized healing, the shift towards white uniforms became a physical representation of this change. The white coats represented science and progress, more like a lab technician than a lawyer. With the white coat, a doctor couldn't hide the stains that come with the job, so it showed a commitment to trust and transparency. When a patient sees their doctor enter a room wearing a pristine, clean white coat, they sense cleanliness and sterility of the environment. This instantly puts the patient at ease. Trust can be built when they see there is nothing to hide. The expectations of the white coat are enormous. It symbolizes our commitment to our patients, to each other, to our communities, and to ourselves. It embodies the sacred trust patients place in their physicians. I'd also like to take some time to reflect on what is perhaps the most important tool you'll use as a physician, and the symbolic role it plays. The stethoscope is the complement to your white coats, and its importance cannot be overstated. You will soon realize the true value of this device, and it will stay with you for the rest of your professional career. The stethoscope was invented in Paris in 1860, at a time when medicine was barely credible in the eyes of most historians. This innovation immediately accomplished two important functions. You'll know it's for its value in auscultation, or listening to the sounds of the internal parts of your body. But more importantly, the stethoscope brings us close to our patients, and this opens up to the doctor's most important job, listening. This is where I want to focus today. To properly use this tool that you will carry in your hands, you'll need to get close and listen. And I don't just mean listening to the patient's breathing or their heartbeat. Getting this close to your patient, making contact with them in their state of vulnerability opens the line of communication. They will speak to you with their body and their voice. The key to your success as you embark on your medical education and for the rest of your professional life is in how well you listen. This may sound like a trivial piece of advice, but it would shock you to learn how poorly most of us do this in our personal and professional lives. Without listening, a doctor can never truly treat their patients. Unfortunately, doctors are talking to and examining patients less and less, and replacing communication with lab investigations, CT scans, and MRIs, which often leads us to the wrong diagnosis. But this is where RCSI will train you to be successful, where many of your peers will struggle. I remember as a student at RCSI being taught that 80% of the diagnosis can be made from history and physical exam alone. To quote Sir William Osler, medicine is learned by the bedside and not in the classroom. To study the phenomenon of disease without books is to sail an uncharted sea, while to study books without patience is not to quote sea at all, end quotes. We need to listen to doctors, nurses, x-ray technicians, and all the members of our healthcare team to deliver proper treatment. You need to listen to each other, but most importantly, you need to listen to your patients. Listening to your patients is paramount to becoming a successful physician. This is something you're going to hear over and over from your teachers at RCSI, but you won't understand the importance of this lesson until you're practicing on a daily basis. That was the case for me and for every good physician I speak to. Talk to your patients, examine them. Be wary of reducing your patients to clinical cases. Be mindful of your words and actions and know the impact they have on your patients. Practice your art with empathy and humanity. This is how we practice medicine. These are the values taught at RCSI, and they will serve you well as you branch out into new institutions. I'll share with you an example where the experience I gained at RCSI aided me during an interview for fellowships at the Massachusetts General Hospital at Harvard Medical School. The interviewing panel asked me to share a story that would explain how my education at RCSI was differentiated. I told them how, as an intern, I had to take time to convince a radiologist at 3 in the morning to do a CT scan, based on my detailed history and physical exam. This is much different from what they generally experience, where all you need is a simple click of a button on a computer to order a CT scan without giving it second thought. My experience meant that I had to give a clear explanation as to why this was needed, and I had to absolutely be sure that this decision was not a waste of resources and unnecessary patient exposure to radiation. I could see the look of shock on their faces. While this might seem like common sense to you or me, general medicine practice today too often values the time spent on patient history and physical exam, and trains physicians to rely on machines as a crutch instead of a tool. To continue the story, the very next day, the fellowship director called my mentor, asking if he thought I would be willing to join Mass General for my training. My experience was something they valued quite highly, and this story is not unique, nor was I chosen because I was special in any way. This is the case for many of my colleagues and friends at RCSI, who can share similar stories. My experience here opened doors that would have otherwise been closed to me. Many of my RCSI colleagues and classmates are now working at the most prestigious institutions in the world, and with hard work, these same doors will open to you. When Professor Joe asked me to address you today, I tried putting myself in your shoes. I thought about what I wish I had been told that would have made my medical education and early career an easier path. And for me, it came down to this. You will face a lot of opportunities and challenges. You have chosen a hard path. You will face lots of opportunities and challenges. The work is difficult. The commitment will require sacrifice from you, emotionally, intellectually, and physically. Your 20s will be very different from those who graduated with you in high school. Your friends and families will at times struggle to understand the demands of your schedule. Despite all your efforts, some of your patients won't make it. After all that, you ask yourself, why did I choose this path? This is a career where you're always looking towards the future. One more goal, that's 1, 2, 5 years away. It will be easier to give in to desperation or frustration at a seemingly endless number of tomorrows. Tomorrow I will begin my residency, or tomorrow I will begin my fellowship. My advice to you is not to focus on the tomorrows. Be here today. Be present in the moment. You will have a lifetime being a working physician. Cherish every person you meet and every mistake you make on this path. Cherish every hardship and celebrate every success. Stay focused on the journey. You'll only get to experience it this one time. Make it mean something. My 10-year-old daughter recently told me that she wants to be an ER doctor. I paused for a minute. How should I respond? I reflected back on my career. Despite the stress, long hours away from home and family, I could never imagine a different career. The privilege to treat patients comes with great responsibility and in turn delivers great satisfaction. And the professional gratification that you will receive is indeed one of life's greatest gifts. It serves as the reminder of the difference we can make. You will play an important role in people's lives, focused on facilitating people leading healthier and therefore happier lives. I cannot imagine a more fulfilling job. So what would I answer my daughter when she says she wants to be a doctor? I encourage her with all my heart, and I hope to one day see her looking back at me as you are today. And I hope to one day feel that sense of pride as your friends and family feel for you here today. To the RCSI class of 2022, congratulations on your achievements. We're very proud of you here, that you're here. We are privileged to be part of your education. Welcome to the family, and thank you for allowing me to take part in this momentous occasion with you today.
It gives me a pleasure to invite one of my more prominent students, Ms. Mariam Nasser, to the podium to deliver the student's speech.
Excellencies, distinguished faculty, members of staff, families, and dear students, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It is my honor to address you today on behalf of the seniors class and to congratulate you on reaching new heights. Donning the white coat marks a new milestone, a new transition, and a beautiful change that is worthy of the recognition. I drafted my speech 3 times before I stopped counting. What is it that I can share with you today which you haven't heard by now? Should I talk about the symbolism of the white coat? Or the reason behind having a white coat ceremony? Or should I talk about the responsibility the oath bestows on you? All of which are things that I presume you might have heard about before or will probably hear about today. As after all, they're important principles upon which modern medicine was developed and values which we still live by. But I wanted to share something different, something that might resonate a bit louder, a bit longer, and just maybe translate what it actually means to be a medical student wearing the white coat. So I'll share a few of the things that I came to understand being in the clinical settings for the past 2 years as I see it today in hindsight. Wearing the white coat creates what I call the doctor privilege effect. Patients will immediately trust who they see. They'll feel safe in the white coat's presence and comfortable sharing their stories with the person wearing it. At times, a patient's trust in you as a medical student will stand equal to that of their doctor. They'll ask you questions about what you think of their condition, questions about how serious you think it is. And at times, they might even ask you questions about your thoughts on how they were managed. I cannot remember the number of times I stood feeling overwhelmed in the face of a patient's need to see hope in us, the students wearing the white coat. Nevertheless, it is at these times that you are reminded of what it means and what it takes to be a doctor. Wearing the white coat would also grant you a privileged access to patients' personal vulnerabilities, with an expectation of you understanding, with an expectation of you being genuine, and with the utmost expectation of you being altruistic. Although difficult, desensitizing yourself to the stereotypes does come with its rewards. I still remember the patients whom I've met and who shared with me details they kept hidden even from their doctors, out of fear of being stigmatized, out of shame of being labeled. Although the weight of the responsibility at such times might be heavier than what you have accounted for, such experiences are the most humbling and equally empowering. This, in a sense, might explain why the white coat is not just a mere symbol of being a doctor. It is a privilege that we get to wear to learn, to experience, and to grow. It is a privilege that grants us an unconditional trust to make the most impactful of all choices, the most difficult of all decisions, and the most important of all leads. So today, as you wear your white coats, remember everything it means and everything you will be entitled to experience. And promise yourself before everyone to rise up to it. I will end my speech with a quote by Jalaluddin al-Rumi, which I hope would resonate within each one of you as much as it did in me. May the wound be the place where the light enters you. Congratulations again, and thank you.
May I again remind our guests to remain seated during the recitation of the oath. Students of the School of Medicine, would you be kind enough to stand up and wear your white coats? Would you please recite after me? In the presence of this gathering, I, state your name, will practice my profession with conscience and dignity.
Will practice my profession with conscience and dignity.
The health of my patient will be my first concern.
The health of my
patient will be my first concern.
I will maintain the utmost respect to human life.
I will maintain the utmost respect for human life.
I will respect the confidential information that's entrusted in me even after the patient has died.
I will respect the confidential information that is entrusted in me even after the patient has died.
I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient.
I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient's.
I will abide by the code of conduct of my profession, and I will promote high standards of practice, lifelong education, and research in the interest of human health.
I will abide by the code of conduct of my profession,
and I will promote high standards of
practice, lifelong education, and research in the interest of human health.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
Congratulations. Please be seated. This ends the proceedings for the evening. Students should now proceed to the main building, as we will be arranging a photograph of you by the fountain on the first floor with the staff present this evening. As for the guests, they can proceed to the atrium of the college for a small reception.
Please wait for 1 second, please. Please sit down.
Sorry.
Please sit down, please.
My apologies. I would like to invite again Professor Joe McMenamin to the stage to present the Henry Hutchinson's National University of Ireland Prize in Psychiatry.
Thank you, Professor Iktam. Could I ask Professor Charlotte Kamal to come up to the stage, please? And could I... The Henry Hutchinson National University of Ireland is a very prestigious prize. There are a number of prizes in many areas of medicine, such as medicine, surgery, pediatrics, and obstetrics. And the top students in the NUI universities in Ireland and RCSI Bahrain compete for these prizes. We're very pleased that over the past few years, we have had one of our students or two win these prizes, and this is quite an achievement, and they have to be congratulated, and the university is very proud of them. I'm pleased to say again that this year, we also have a winner, and it's a second prize in psychiatry, and this is awarded to Miriam Nasser. So could Miriam come up to the stage, please? Yeah. And I'd like Professor Charlotte to present her with this prize.
Now, I would like to ask the students to proceed to the front of the building by the fountain for their photograph with the staff. And I would like to ask the guests to proceed to the atrium of the college for a small reception, please.